Isaac Newton, the man who helped humanity read the universe. Imagine holding an apple in your hand. You let it go. It falls. You have seen it happen countless times. So has every generation before you. The sun rises every morning. The moon returns every night. The seasons arrive with quiet certainty. Everything in nature seems to know exactly what to do. We call these things ordinary. But for most of human history, they were extraordinary mysteries. Why does an apple always fall downward? Why does the moon never disappear into space? Why do the planets travel across the heavens with such perfect order? No one knew. Until one man looked at the same familiar world and asked different questions. Isaac Newton did not create the laws of nature. He revealed that they had been there all along. This is the story of how one curious mind helped humanity understand a universe it had been living in since the beginning of time. Because the greatest discoveries do not change the universe, they change the way we see it. When people hear the name Isaac Newton, they usually think of a falling apple. It is one of history's most famous stories. But the apple itself was never important. People had watched apples fall for thousands of years. Newton's achievement was seeing what no one else had seen. The force pulling an apple toward the earth might be the very same force guiding the moon across the sky. One idea, one universe, one new way of understanding reality. But discoveries like that do not begin with one moment. They begin with a world that is finally ready to ask new questions. So before we meet Isaac Newton, we must first meet his world. A world waiting for answer. Morning breaks across the English countryside. Church bells echo through quiet villages. Smoke drifts from the chimneys of small stone cottages. Farmers walk into fields still covered with dew. As evening comes, the sky slowly fills with stars. To the people below, everything feels exactly as it always has. The heavens seem peaceful, perfect, unchanging. Yet across Europe, something remarkable is beginning to happen. For centuries, people accepted the universe as it appeared. Now they are beginning to question it. New observations challenge old beliefs. New ideas replace familiar answers. The more people learn about the heavens, the more mysterious they become. One question rises above them all. Why does the universe follow such perfect order? No one can explain why the planets never lose their paths. No one understands why the moon remains beside the earth. No one knows why every falling object obeys the same invisible rule. The questions are ready. The answers are not. Far from Europe's great cities stands a small farming village called Woolsthorpe. It is quiet, ordinary, easy to overlook. Yet history rarely begins where people expect. In the winter of 1642, a fragile baby is born there. Few believe he will survive. No one imagines that this child will one day help answer questions that have puzzled humanity for centuries. The world is waiting, and the story of Isaac Newton is about to begin. A child who watched the world differently. Winter settles quietly over the small village of Woolsthorpe. The fields lie bare beneath cold gray skies. Smoke rises gently from cottage chimneys. Life follows the same familiar rhythm it has for generations. Few people imagine that history has just taken a new direction. On Christmas Day in 1642, according to the calendar used in England at the time, Isaac Newton is born. He is so small and weak that many fear he will not survive. His mother later remembers that he could have fit inside a small drinking cup. No one expects greatness from such a fragile child. Before Isaac reaches his third birthday, tragedy changes his life. His father has already died before he is born. Then his mother remarries and moves to another village. Young Isaac is left behind in Woolsthorpe to be raised by his grandmother. For many children, such loneliness might have become a burden. For Isaac, it quietly becomes something else. With long hours to himself, he begins to notice the world around him in ways other children rarely do. He watches the wind move through the trees. He studies the changing shadows as the sun crosses the sky. He wonders why rain falls, why water flows, why light changes from morning to evening. He is not simply looking, he is observing. Questions come naturally to him, simple questions, patient questions. the kind that most people never think to ask. The quiet countryside becomes his first classroom. Nature becomes his first teacher. Long before he opens a book on mathematics or science, Isaac is already learning one of the most important habits of every great thinker. He is learning to pay attention. And sometimes, history begins with nothing more than a child who refuses to stop asking why. A mind that never stopped asking why. As Isaac grows older, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. His curiosity never fades. If anything, it grows stronger. While many children are satisfied with simple answers, Isaac is not. He wants to know how things work. Not just what happens, but why. He spends hours building small models with his own hands. He makes sundials to follow the movement of shadows. He studies the changing direction of the wind. He carefully observes the world around him, turning ordinary moments into quiet experiments. To others, these are simple hobbies. To Isaac, they are questions waiting to be answered. His family hopes he will one day manage the farm. The work is honest, necessary, practical. But Isaac's mind is somewhere else. While others think about the next harvest, he is thinking about patterns, numbers, time, motion. He often becomes so absorbed in his thoughts that everyday responsibilities are forgotten. It slowly becomes clear that the farm is not where he belongs. Fortunately, someone notices. His teachers recognize an unusual intelligence. They encourage him to continue his education instead of remaining in the fields. It is a decision that changes the course of his life. Soon, Isaac leaves the quiet village of Woolsthorpe and begins a journey toward the University of Cambridge. There, he will discover books unlike any he has ever read, ideas unlike any he has ever imagined, questions far greater than his own. But the most important lesson has already been learned. Long before he enters a university, Isaac has taught himself something that no classroom can fully explain. Never stop asking why. That simple habit will eventually change the way humanity understands the universe. When the world stopped, one mind began to change it. Cambridge is unlike anything Isaac has ever known. Ancient stone buildings surround quiet courtyards. Students debate ideas that have traveled across Europe. Books open doors to worlds far beyond the English countryside. For Isaac, it is more than a university. It is a place where questions are welcomed instead of dismissed. He studies mathematics, astronomy, philosophy, the discoveries of Galileo, the ideas of Kepler, the writings of René Descartes. Every new book leads to another question. Every answer reveals another mystery. His curiosity, once shaped by fields and forests, now begins to explore the universe itself. Then, without warning, everything changes. In 1665, a deadly plague spreads across England. The disease reaches Cambridge. The university closes its doors. Students leave. Lecture halls fall silent. The future that Isaac has imagined suddenly disappears. He returns to Woolsthorpe, back to the same quiet village where he spent his childhood. At first, it seems like a terrible interruption. A brilliant education has been cut short. The greatest minds of England are now far away. No professors, no classrooms, no discussions, only silence. But sometimes silence creates something that noise never can. With no lectures to attend and no exams to prepare for, Isaac begins thinking for himself. Day after day, he fills notebooks with questions. He explores mathematics in ways no one has taught him. He experiments with light passing through glass prisms. He watches the moon. He watches falling objects. He searches for patterns hidden beneath ordinary events. The quiet countryside becomes a laboratory once again. The same fields where he once wandered as a lonely child now become the birthplace of extraordinary ideas. Years later, people would remember this period as Newton's Annus Mirabilis, his year of wonders. It was during this remarkable time that the foundations of calculus began to take shape. His experiments with light transformed the study of optics, and the first ideas that would eventually become the law of universal gravitation started to emerge. None of these discoveries appeared fully formed. Each one began with a question. then another, and another. What looked like an interruption to everyone else became the greatest opportunity of Isaac Newton's life. History often celebrates the moment of discovery, but it rarely remembers the long, quiet days of thinking that made discovery possible. For Newton, those quiet days changed science forever. One universe, one set of laws. The ideas that took shape in the quiet village of Woolsthorpe did not remain there. Over the years, Isaac Newton continued to test them, refine them, challenge them. He was never satisfied with easy answers. He wanted proof. He wanted certainty. Little by little, a remarkable picture of the universe began to emerge. What seemed like separate events were not separate at all. A falling apple, the rising tides, the moon circling the earth, the planets traveling around the sun. Newton believed they were all connected, not by coincidence, but by the same invisible force. For the first time in history, someone showed that the heavens and the earth did not follow different rules. The universe obeyed the same laws everywhere. The force pulling an apple toward the ground was also holding the moon in its path. The same mathematics could describe both. It was an astonishing idea, but gravity was only part of the story. Newton also transformed the study of light. Many people believed that a prism colored light as it passed through. Newton showed something very different. White light already contained every color. The prism did not create them. It simply separated what had always been there. Once again, he revealed that nature had been quietly hiding its secrets in plain sight. His work in mathematics opened another door. To describe motion that was constantly changing, he developed powerful new mathematical methods. These ideas would later become known as calculus. They gave scientists an entirely new language for understanding change, motion, and the physical world. Today, engineers use it to design bridges. Scientists use it to explore distant galaxies. Doctors use it to study the human body. And astronauts use it to guide spacecraft across millions of kilometers through space. From a quiet English village came ideas that would eventually reach far beyond the Earth itself. Newton did not answer every question about the universe, but he showed that the universe could be understood. And once humanity believed that, there was no turning back. The legacy of a curious mind. Isaac Newton would go on to become one of the most respected figures in Britain. His ideas spread far beyond the walls of Cambridge. Scientists across Europe began testing his theories. Again and again, they found that his understanding of nature matched the world around them. For generations, the Principia became one of the most influential scientific books ever written. It changed not only what people knew, but how they searched for knowledge itself. Before Newton, many mysteries of nature seemed beyond human understanding. After Newton, people began to believe that every mystery could be explored with careful observation, thoughtful questions, and evidence. It was a new way of thinking, a way of thinking that helped shape the scientific revolution, and eventually, the modern world. Today, Newton's ideas continue to guide us in ways we rarely notice. Engineers rely on them when designing bridges and buildings. Astronomers use them to predict the motion of planets and comets. Space agencies use them to send spacecraft across the solar system. Even the satellites that help us navigate our daily lives follow the same laws Newton helped describe more than 3 centuries ago. Technology has changed beyond anything he could have imagined. The universe has not. Its laws remain the same. Perhaps that is Newton's greatest legacy. He showed that nature is not random. It is understandable, not because the universe became simpler, but because human curiosity became stronger. One question led to another. One observation became an idea. One idea became a discovery. And one discovery changed the way humanity looked at the universe forever. The story of Isaac Newton is not only about science. It is about curiosity, about patience, about the courage to keep asking questions when no one else sees the answer. Because every great discovery begins the same way. Someone notices something ordinary and wonders why. Tomorrow morning, the sun will rise again. The moon will continue its silent journey across the night sky. And somewhere, an apple will fall from a tree, just as it always has. Most people will never stop to think about it. But thanks to Isaac Newton, we know that these ordinary moments are connected by the same invisible laws. The universe has not changed. Only our understanding of it has. And perhaps that is the greatest gift one human being can leave behind. Not simply new knowledge, but a new way of seeing the world. The next great discovery may not begin in a famous laboratory or at a prestigious university. It may begin with someone quietly looking at an ordinary moment and asking a simple question: why?